Hello everyone, welcome to tech360.com. Today I would like to give you a very detailed walkthrough of how to install Cognos in a multi-server environment. We have already seen how to do a basic installation of Cognos on a single server. Today I'm going to talk about the multi-server installation. So basically multi-server installation is when you're installing, for example, if you have a three-tier architecture, then you have web server running on one system, the application tier running on a second server, and the database, which is a content store, running on a database tier. Okay, to start with, I'm going to install the application tier on this server. So I went into the location where I unzipped all of my Cognos installation files. So this is a 64-bit version of Cognos 10.2.1. I'm right-clicking on the setup file and running it as an administrator. Okay, just to be on the safe side, you should run it as an administrator, just in case you come across any privileges issues. Okay, I'm selecting default values, English as my language, agreeing to the license agreement. Okay. Here I'm modifying the default location to which Cognos is going to be installed to. Okay, C10_64_all4. Okay, so Cognos is basically going to prompt me whether I want to create this new folder. I can say yes. Then it's prompting me which components I want to install. So since as I said before, I'm going to install, this is going to be my application tier server. I don't want to install the gateway component here, so I'm unchecking it. And you don't want Cognos content database on this machine because this is a three-tier architecture and the database component is going to be on a different server. Okay, if you go ahead and check it anyway, Cognos will install Apache Derby, which is a default database, and which is primarily for POC purposes, and you don't want to install that. In enterprise level applications, you will have Oracle DB2 or SQL Server as a content store. Okay, again, I'm installing only the application tier and the content manager. Click next. Here basically I'm giving all four. So this is a location in your all programs. If you want to quickly identify the shortcuts to Cognos, that is a folder you need to go to. Click next. This is just a summary of all the settings that you have chosen so far. This is important, the summary log location. So if there are any errors during the installation, all those errors will be written to this file. So that will be in your root and instl log folder. Okay, click next and we'll start the installation. Obviously this is going to take some time because of the number of components. I'm just so it will take a few minutes. Okay, so we completed the installation part is completed. It's just asking me whether I want to install the supplementary language documentation. Okay, so since installation is complete, it's prompting me whether for me to choose if you want to look at the transfer log and the summary error log. I'm gonna go ahead and start the Cognos configuration. Okay, so we have the Cognos configuration open. So the initial settings, we have the basic theme is that you will see localhost as a server name in all the places. The points that we're going to touch to configure Cognos would be environment, the logging. I'm going to configure a database to basically log all the Cognos activity. So there will be database resource added here. And we have Cognos services. I just want to make sure all the services are enabled. None of them should be set to false. I'm going to modify the name of the service to a different name just in case if there is a different Cognos service already running on the same server. Okay, and the portal service I'm not going to touch at this point. For the authentication, right now Cognos is set to allow anonymous access. I'm going to set that to false, and I'm going to have Active Directory LDAP integrated with Cognos, so that whenever someone tries to log into Cognos, they'll be routed to authenticate against Active Directory LDAP. Okay. Application firewall, we might have to tweak this a little bit. Data access, and this is one important thing to configure. So since we are going to use SQL Server as a database, as a content store, I'm going to delete this content store, the default content store, and create a connection to the new SQL Server content store. Once that is configured and tested successfully, then I'm going to start the service, and that will create all the content store tables in that database, and from that point on, that would be the default content store. Notification, I'm going to show how to set up a mail server. Okay, these are all the default values. I'm going to modify them. So yeah, that's basically it. Those are the major components that we need to configure. As a summary, the major components are content store, the SMTP server, and the authentication. And obviously the environment has to be set up, modified based on this specific server settings. So to start out with, I'm going to touch this component here, which is external dispatcher URI. I'm going to modify that to give the name of this specific server. I'm going to touch this. Whenever I modify this, you're going to see, so let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, okay, you're going to see the web gateway URI modified to this specific server, and I'm going to modify this to 64-bit because it's a 64-bit installation, and so on and so forth.